planes. North America experiences deadly weather conditions over the Christmas holidays. Some 37 lives are reportedly lost and major disruptions are caused for travel. South Korea reported its first case of the so-called brain-eating amoeba. Authorities confirmed the man in his 50s died of the disease last week after returning from Thailand. Hello and welcome. I'm Daniel Che, here to bring the latest. Let's begin with our top story. Multiple drones from North Korea crossed over to the south on Monday. This prompted the country's military to try and shoot them down and deployed fighters to intercept them. Kim Da-mi starts us off.
The South Korean military on Monday fired around 100 shots toward unauthorized drones from North Korea that crossed the inter-Korean border. One came down as far as the northern part of the capital Seoul, and 4 flew around Gangado Island for hours. The South military, however, failed to shoot down the drones that are reportedly smaller than 2 meters. They all returned to the north. It was the first time in 5 years that North Korea had used the drones to cross the border.
The South Korean military deployed manned and unmanned reconnaissance equipment to areas close to and north of the military demarcation line, took corresponding measures against the drones invading our airspace, and conducted operational activities such as photographing the enemy's key military facilities.
South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff detected multiple unidentified objects, presumed to be unmanned aerial vehicles in border areas of Gyeonggi-do province, starting at 10:25 a.m. The vehicles flew across the military demarcation line separating the two Koreas and intruded into areas of Gimpo, Gangado Island, and Paju. Some even came down within visual range of nearby towns. Among the South Korean jets that scrambled to intercept them was a Ka-1 attack aircraft, which crashed after takeoff from an airbase in Wonju on South Korea's east coast. The pilots were reportedly okay. The North Korean intrusion also led to temporary suspensions of civilian flights, including at Incheon and Gimpo airports. Back in June 2017, drones from the north crossed the MDL and filmed the areas of Seongju County, where the U.S. missile defense system THAAD is located. Kim Da-mi, Arirang News.
North Korea's economy contracted 0.1% last year due to the fallout from the pandemic, the second straight year of posting a fall in GDP. Data by South Korea's statistics agency showed the regime's per capita GNI was 1.42 million won. Its income gap widened by 28 times compared to earnings in the South, which stood at some 40 million won, or roughly $32,000. As well as international sanctions, border closures took a toll on the North's trade volume in 2021, which tumbled a little over 17% on year to $710 million. The overall population stood at around 25 million last year, half of South Korea. There will be continued difficulties next year for the global economy. That's coming from the nation's finance chief during a meeting of ministers discussing economic affairs. Cho Kyung-ho emphasized major economies will further restructure supply chains amid the economic slowdown, which is highly likely to pressure South Korea. He said the government will support the steel and aluminum industries to minimize the impact of the EU implementing domestically focused policies aimed at addressing climate change and supply chain disruptions. Seoul will continue talks with Washington next year to address issues regarding the Inflation Reduction Act. South Korea is moving to a possible end to mandatory mask wearing. Part of the conditions needed to implement such changes, improve vaccination rate among people 60 and older. Yoon-jin explains further.
South Korea reported 25,545 new COVID-19 cases on Monday, with the number remaining below 70,000 for the 4th straight day. But on Saturday, the number of new COVID-19 related deaths hit a 3-month high of 70. This comes as health authorities have laid out criteria for phasing out the indoor mask mandate. The 4 criteria are a stable number of new infections, a downtrend in critically ill cases and deaths, robust medical capabilities, and a high vaccination rate among high-risk groups. What stands key to the government setting a date for the end of the indoor mask mandate is the high-risk group of elderly over the age of 70 getting their updated booster shots, as 89% of the critically ill and 96% of the reported deaths are from those over the age of 60.
The low inoculation rate has great effect on removing the indoor mask mandate. As much as it is a hindrance, I want to reiterate that it is crucial to raise the vaccination rate right now.
The winter booster vaccination campaign has been extended another 2 weeks until the end of this month to get more people in high-risk groups vaccinated. Experts say it is important that the booster shots are promoted better so that more people have information about them.
People who didn't experience side effects from the vaccine previously are most likely not going to show side effects, and the overall chances of any side effects will be reduced to 1/10. So according to KDCA statistics, those that have already been vaccinated a few times don't need to worry much.
As the government urges people to get updated variant-specific booster vaccines, an additional Moderna vaccine has received emergency approval from the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety. That means starting Monday, 4 types of booster shots will be available. Teenagers between the ages of 12 and 17 are only eligible to receive the 2 types of Pfizer vaccines, but both the Moderna booster shots are available to those over the age of 18. 이은진, Arirang News.
South Korea has reported its first case of the brain-eating amoeba, Naegleria fowleri. The KDCA confirmed on Monday that the patient was a Korean national in his 50s. He showed symptoms on the day he returned from a 4-month stay in Thailand. He died 10 days later. The amoeba is commonly found in lakes and rivers and is inhaled through the nose and destroys brain tissues. It's known that human-to-human transmission is impossible. More than 380 cases have been reported worldwide since it was first detected back in 1937. Of all the electricity purchased last year by South Korea's state-run electric company, nuclear accounted for the biggest proportion recorded in 7 years as the government looks to revive that industry. The total amount of nuclear power purchased through November totals nearly 153,000 gigawatt hours, almost 31% of all of its energy purchases, up around 3 percentage points compared to a year earlier. The agency attributed the rise to the soaring electricity demand due to extremely hot and cold weather and the government's policy to utilize nuclear power as much as possible. The nation's 27th nuclear reactor, the Shinhanul Unit 1, started full-scale operations earlier this month, expanding the country's nuclear power capacity by about 1,400 megawatts. South Korea saw a rise in the number of franchise businesses of 10.6% in 2021, the biggest increase since 2013 when the figure was first compiled. According to Statistics Korea, over 259,000 at the end of 2021, an on-year spike of about 25,000. An official attributed the increase to people looking for stability when starting a business during the pandemic. The number of employees working in franchise stores was around 834,000, up 4% on year. Employees per franchise declined for the second year in a row, down 5.9%. This is because a rise in the number of stores outpaced their hiring, while there was more outsourcing of delivery and a rise in unmanned stores. The government recently decided to require companies to offer employees more time off for childcare. While the goal is to help people start families, many point out it may not be feasible in some businesses. Jung Eun-ju has the details.
South Korea's birth rate last year was at an all-time low of 0.81, meaning women on average are giving birth to fewer than 1 child in their lifetime. The outlook for this year is even bleaker. The birth rate fell below 1 for the first time in 2018 and has continued to decrease ever since. The government's countermeasure against this fall is to extend the parental leave period, currently set at 1 year, to 1 year and 6 months. Under the new guidelines, parents may also use their parental leave until their child turns 9 or 10 years old from the current 8 years old.
We're making efforts to prevent career interruptions, such as raising the child age limit for parents wishing to use the working hour reduction system.
Though this is good news for families with children, the problem is that only a limited group of people can benefit from it. Although more people have been steadily applying for parental leave every year, 6 to 7 out of 10 people who took parental leave last year were employees of large companies. People working for small companies have difficulty using it.
My husband nor I use parental leave. The company actually hints that we shouldn't use it. The company also can't really afford substitute workers, so I couldn't say I wanted to use parental leave.
This is why many people point out the need to strengthen management and supervision so employees are able to use parental leave.
It's difficult to use parental leave, even for 1 year, unless you're a public official or work for a large company. Fines should be imposed, investigations should be carried out, not just extending the period.
The government will prepare a manual that contains procedures for reporting and seeking guidance should a company prevent or discourage their employees from taking parental leave. 정은주, Arirang News.
The People Power Party will hold a national convention on March 8th to pick a new leader. The ruling bloc is currently run by an emergency steering committee headed by Jeong Jin-seok. A recently revised rule will be applied whereby only the votes of party members will be counted. Previously, the public was able to vote too. If none of the candidates wins a majority, a runoff will be held. When that happens, the final decision will be made by March 12th, the last day of the emergency committee's term. Candidate registration begins early February. Yoo Heung-soo, a former four-term lawmaker who was appointed chief of the Election Commission. DP leader Lee Jae-myung will not be showing up to his prosecutor's summons scheduled for Wednesday. He is wanted at Suwon District Prosecutor's Office for questioning over allegations of third-party bribery centering on whether he received corporate donations for Seongnam FC and gave administrative favors in return while serving as Seongnam mayor and head of the municipal football club. During talks with reporters, the DP chair said he cannot understand why prosecutors are calling for him as the case had already been cleared. Though he said he won't be there on Wednesday, he said he will participate in prosecutors' questioning with the date and method to be fixed through lawyers. South Korea and Japan have working-level talks on ways to compensate wartime forced labor victims. Son Min-jung, the Director General for Asia and Pacific Affairs, met with their Japanese counterpart Takehiro Funakoshi in Tokyo. The two sides reportedly focused on Japanese companies giving a formal apology and contributing to the fund that will be used for compensation. The two diplomats previously met late last month in Japan. Russian missiles rained down on Ukrainian cities on Christmas Day. President Zelensky warned more attacks could come between now and the end of the year. Song Yoo-jin has the latest.
Russian missiles battered Ukraine on Christmas Day. Ukraine's military said early Monday that the country was hit by 40 rockets. They shelled dozens of towns in the Luhansk, Donetsk, Kharkiv, Kherson, and Zaporizhia regions. In response, Ukrainian forces conducted attacks on around 20 Russian targets. Meanwhile, 60 more deaths have been reported as a result of the strikes that hit Kherson on Christmas Eve. According to the head of the region's military administration, more than 60 are injured as of Sunday. But it seems like the intense battle will grind on. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky reiterated his warning of an increase in attacks this holiday season.
We must be aware that our enemy will try to make this time dark and difficult for us. Russia has lost everything it could this year, but it is trying to compensate for its losses with the gloating of its propagandists after the missile strikes on our country, on our energy sector.
Zelensky's remarks come on the same day Russian President Vladimir Putin said he was ready to negotiate with all parties involved in the 10-month-long war. He also accused Kyiv and its Western allies of refusing to negotiate. But Ukraine and its allies are calling Putin's comments a ploy to buy time and rearm. An advisor to President Zelensky said on Twitter that Putin needs to come back to reality, as it is Russia that doesn't want negotiations and is trying to avoid responsibility. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News.
A severe winter storm gripped North America over the Christmas holidays. The freezing conditions took lives. The storm also caused major travel disruptions. Kim Jong-sil reports.
A devastating winter storm sweeps across America. Dozens were killed across the country, with one of the worst hit areas being the northwestern city of Buffalo in New York State, which saw up to 110 centimeters of snow. Erie County, which contains Buffalo, has confirmed 12 deaths so far, 3 of whom died because heavy snow prevented medical services from reaching them in time.
I don't have the exact total of how they were found. I do know that some were found in cars and some were found actually on the street in snowbanks.
we are in a war. This is a war with Mother Nature. And this will go down in history as the most devastating storm in Buffalo's long storied history of having battled many battles, many major storms.
The bomb cyclone, which is caused when atmospheric pressure plummets, has disrupted travel across the country. Thousands of flights have been canceled, preventing people from reuniting with their families for Christmas. According to flight tracking service FlightAware, more than 5,000 flights were canceled throughout the weekend. In Ohio, at least 4 people died after a 50-car pileup, and in Missouri and Kansas, 4 drivers died in separate car accidents. Storm-related deaths were also reported in Vermont, Wisconsin, and Colorado. In the southern city of Tampa, Florida, temperatures fell below 0 degrees for the first time in 5 years. The storm also tore down power lines, but power is now steadily being restored. The Associated Press reported that fewer than 200,000 customers were without power as of 3 p.m. Sunday EDT, down from a peak of 1.7 million. Kim Jung-sil, Arirang News.
A British consumer report shows several products made by South Korean tech giants for its 50 most innovative and eco-friendly devices and appliances of the year, which ranked LG Electronics UHD TV the year's 3rd best product, claiming the product excels where so many others failed, providing a real and vivid image despite costing less than the average TV at that size. LG's OLED TV was ranked 11th. Samsung Galaxy took 6th place as the list's only tablet. Also on the list were a Samsung soundbar, its Galaxy phones, and a refrigerator. Large retailers are collaborating with traditional marketplaces to promote themselves and help with revitalization. Some parts are turned into coffee shops, others to various experience zones. Shin Ha-young takes us there.
With the growth of large-scale retailers, traditional markets in South Korea have been losing ground. According to the Small Enterprise and Market Service, between 2006 and 2020, more than 200 traditional markets closed down. However, Gyeongdong Market, which is famous for herbal ingredients used in traditional medicine, has seen a recent upsurge in visitors. This comes after Starbucks Korea opened a new branch in the market.
This place was originally a theater. It was built in the 1960s but has been closed for almost 30 years. And now it's a cafe where people of all ages can enjoy the retro atmosphere.
For every item sold at this store, 300 Korean won or around 23 US cents will be used to support the market and local community.
With a retro atmosphere and a special interior design, we are expecting both cafe and market to become popular spots, especially for Generation MZ.
I love this place as it has a different mood from other cafes. If there are more places like this at traditional markets, I will visit often with my friends.
Nearby, LG Electronics is providing an experience zone with the concept of Gold Star, which was the previous name of the LG brand. Young people can have new experiences through activities like upcycling crafts, while the older generations can enjoy the nostalgia. These projects have been a win-win for both companies and Gyeongdong Market.
We've been trying to attract young people to revitalize the market, as most of the merchants and customers are older. The effect has not really been seen yet, but shopkeepers have welcomed the refurbishment of the space, as visitors can stop by some of the stores on the way to the cafe.
Meanwhile, amid the growth of non-face-to-face transactions during the COVID-19 pandemic, an official from the Ministry of SMEs and Startups says it plans next year to support the markets with their digital transformation. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
Arirang has proclaimed 2023 as the year to visit the city. A ceremony was held announcing the goal of attracting more visitors from in and out of the country. Officials called Arirang the Alps of the southern region, extolling the city's clean air and beautiful natural scenery. Major tourist draws include Taeksan Mountain and Manasa Temple. The city is known for having a strong program of English language tours for foreign visitors. South Korea's tangerine distributors are using AI to sort fruits. This could speed up the process of deciding which are good enough to sell and drastically cut costs. Jo Sung-min gets us better acquainted with the system.
The workers at this factory are busy sorting out tangerines that have just been brought in from local farms. Only the best fruit is picked out and packaged. What's special about this particular factory is that it uses artificial intelligence to carry out this task. The system detects any physical flaws a tangerine might have using over 1.98 million tangerine images stored in its archives. It evaluates tangerines' quality by 17 different categories, which has been 99% more accurate than when the work was done manually.
When the fruits are picked manually, it's around or less than 90% accurate at best. Based on our AI's confusion matrix system, its accuracy is around 99%.
Besides being more accurate, the work can be done at a much speedier pace, as each system can evaluate up to 33,000 tangerines per hour. As a result, farms using this technology can finish the job that initially needed 8 workers with only 2.
Using the AI machine helps me cut labor costs by a lot and has been extremely helpful in maintaining high quality.
The system was developed thanks to the support of the Korea Agriculture Technology Promotion Agency. The agency plans to continue improving the system's accuracy and supply the technology to around 20 different centers, including local farms and produce distribution hubs across Jeju Island by 2025. 조성민, Arirang News.
An intense cold wave will be gripping the nation for the next couple of days. Expect minus figures to prevail for the morning across most regions. Seoul will be starting off cold at -8, and other regions such as Uiseong will be extra cold. Also, eastern parts of the country will stay dry, and this will increase risk of wildfires, so please take extra precautions. Some regions will see high concentrations of fine dust tomorrow. Parts of central regions, including Seoul and Gyeongsang-buk-do provinces, will see air quality standing in the bad category. Make sure to have a mask that can filter out the dust particles, such as a KF94. And tomorrow, Seoul will be starting off at -8 degrees. Chuncheon will be colder at -11. Daytime temperatures will be returning to the positive range nationwide. Highs in Seoul will get up to 2 degrees, Daejeon and Gwangju 4. Busan will be reaching 10 degrees Celsius. On Wednesday, another round of snowfalls in the forecast for central regions and the West Coast. That's all for now, and here are the weather conditions around the world.
That's all from us. As always, thank you for watching.